leadership series. I'm really excited to be bringing you some fabulous leaders. We're going to have candid conversations. We're going to learn from their experience and hopefully get some really valuable morsels out of this series. So the reason why I've put this together is I have been in the industry for 20 years. I've been working with fabulous people. I've met some extraordinary leaders. I've helped build some extraordinary teams, and I really wanted to bring some of the knowledge and experience that I have come across to as many people as possible. So I've chosen LinkedIn Live to do this. I hope this forum works for everybody, and I will be here at 11:30 every Thursday until I run out of leaders to talk to, and I hope it's helpful for you. I've just put together this very short video to launch us each week so that people can see us go live, they can jump on board, and they know we're here. So bear with me, we will be going live at 11:30 as promised. So why is this important? This is important because it's to be good at what you do. It's really important to model good people. So if you want to be the best, model the best. And I have worked with so many wonderful leaders and helped them build teams. I've seen some really fabulous leadership styles. I've seen people who've developed over time as leaders, and the fastest way to do that is to, yes, there's theory, but let's move away from theory a little bit and let's look at what really happens in these roles for these people, and let's learn from the mistakes that some of the leaders have made. So I suppose I'm bringing mentors to the table through the experience that I have and the people who I have met over the years. So hopefully it's inspiring to you. Hopefully it's a place where you will gain some valuable information. Even if you pick up one thing from the conversation we're having each week, then that will be enough for me to feel as if I've brought you value. So I really do hope that you receive value from this. What I would love from you is if you can let us know you're here. Obviously we're live on LinkedIn. We would love interaction from you to know that you're here, you're listening. Let us know if there's something that comes up for you that resonates with you, something that you want to ask. The aim will be 20 minutes of conversation and then 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A, depending on how we end up. So hopefully that works for you all. As I say, please interact with us, engage. And if you would like a transcript of this session, I'm going to share transcripts with people who come to me and ask for them, and I will also put together a document which will be all of the key takeouts, the key learnings that we've received from each session. So I'll also be able to share that with you if you pop a comment in at the end of the conversation. So really excited to be here once again. Let's get on with it. I will see you on the other side. Hello. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live with the wonderful Nick Verykios.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you for joining us. I'm seeing that we've got some people online already. Hi, Yaris. Great to see you here from the US. And Rick Michael, I see you're there as well. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us again. And I'm just going to jump in quickly to an intro on Nick so that we all know what Nick's bringing to the table in this conversation, because there's so much of it. So Nick has been involved in the IT industry this is showing his age, for more than 35 years, and has held various leadership roles across the distribution sector, and has been instrumental in steering a number of distribution businesses from startup to high performing over the years. He's currently a director of iAsset, where he's driving strategy and education globally on what the platform can achieve. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't understand it, but it's an exciting proposition. Nick was inducted into the ARN IT Industry Hall of Fame in 2012 and was also awarded the CEO Magazine IT Exec of the Year in 2013, and has had various nominations over the years for Managing Director of the Year, as well as CEO of the Year. And in addition to Owner Manager of the Year in the AIM Excellence Awards for 2015 and ARN Channel Champion in 2016. So loads of awards. He's also received the CompTIA, could you say CompTIA Industry Recognition Award for Leadership in 2018. So bringing some fantastic accolades and recognition. Excited to be talking to Nick. Nick is a very engaging speaker, and he's invited often to present his leadership, marketing and entrepreneurial and management ideas at many industry and general business seminars. He's been an influential and proactive chairperson and member of numerous global vendor and industry channel advisory councils. And Nick is also a practicing Tantric Buddhist and student of Eastern spiritual traditions. So brings a whole nother side of him as well. Works closely, this is exciting, with the Dalai Lama, teaches meditation, and is an acclaimed career and business mentor, providing youth and adult critical crisis counselling. So when I said Nick was a rock star, I must mention this. I meant it. He's actually very, very passionate about music and has been a contracted lyricist and performer since 1988. So off the back of that huge introduction, welcome, Nick Verykios.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very kind. Geez, listening to that, well, I'm old. I've been around for a long time. Can I just say congratulations to you? Nominated for one of the top voices on LinkedIn, number 20. You rock star.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I'm in incredible company right now, and I just really hope to deliver, and looking forward to answering as many questions as I possibly can.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for acknowledging that. I'm still a little bit shocked, but also, honoured and appreciative to all you amazing people on LinkedIn who support me, and I love giving value, so really that's what counts. So yeah, thank you. And as to being nervous, thank you for being vulnerable and being with us today and being open to having a candid conversation. As I said in my intro, I believe in really sort of getting it off the theory if we can, and really looking at what really happens. And especially at the moment in COVID, it's just such an important time for us to be embracing how we can lead and step up as leaders to help the people, everybody get through this. So yeah.
Important. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
No worries. And hi to everybody coming on. There's lots of people listed as LinkedIn user, so I'm not sure who. There's no names there. Hi Todd. Hi Sidki. How is it? I don't know if I said it right. Sidki. Let's get into it. So, Nick, firstly, how you've been in leadership for a long time. I would love to know what is, and you've got a whole lot of layers to you in terms of what you can bring to a leadership scenario, I suppose. What is a leader to you? How would you see leadership? What would be your description of leadership?
I have a really very interesting view on leadership, because leadership to me it sounds like a brand, a noun, right. All right, yeah. And it just sits there, and it sits there. And at best, it can get to the adjective, which is like leading. But what I like to do is resonate on the verb to lead, and that was something that I worked. A doing word. It just really started to make sense to me at a very young age, when you just got to do things. You got to do things, and in doing things, is it innovative? Is it something that is important? Is it something that someone can't do without? Am I taking a team or a concept or an idea or a market somewhere where they've never been before? And when they recognize that they're there, they can't do without it. And that was valuable. So I started to really sit on that, and everything kind of came out of that. Everything came out of that, especially the early days when I didn't even know, I was, doing this thing to lead. I didn't, I didn't have a concept of it, but I know what I was doing. And what I was doing was trying to be innovative, trying to be creative, trying to create something that was of value. And I sit on that. I sit on the verb. I don't really resonate with the noun. I don't even resonate with the adjective, because it's a brand. It's anyone can sit there. I get people coming to me and saying, they're 20, 22 years old and they've just come out of uni, and they say, I want to give you leadership training. I don't know if you can train someone into leadership. I think you can inspire and bring out the leading in them. I think you can direct and get out of the way. But just the leadership bit, I struggle with. I struggle with it now, but I am all in on the verb.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you struggle with the noun, but if I were to just look at the noun for a second, what do you think leadership therefore is innate, or to lead? The ability to lead is innate?
There is an innate compulsion. There absolutely is an innate compulsion. It relates to the fact that we all have a creative instinct, because it's a survival instinct. The world banged 1 billion years ago and it kept banging. So in order to keep going with it, we need to continue to add value. We need to continue to be part of and to just sit inside that creative impulse. So it's in everyone. The ability to lead is in everyone, because the ability to lead is to take what I call, you hear this a lot, take a chance of bliss. And there's that opportunity. I'll take that chance of bliss. Well, what does that mean? It's to do something of value. And what's something of value? Well, that's something to give someone or something, or a group or an idea or anything, something that they can't do without. Everyone has that. Everyone has that innate compulsion.
Yeah.
The question is, do they want to do it?
Yeah.
Because the alternative is, especially in a senior situation, is, well, no, I just want to be the good executor of it.
Yeah.
So that means I'm sitting in front of someone, but in a lot of instances, I'm sitting behind and leading. So it's not even a hierarchical thing. So leadership as a noun is impossible to define in that context.
Yeah.
So again, I come back to the doing. And so what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing to because for me, you got to earn that accolade. You have to have done something worthy of leadership. You have to have done something. You can't just, and to bring that out in someone, that's first step. But to inspire them to continue to execute on, to lead, that's everything. That's yummy,
Yeah. And because there's this whole conversation between the different types of intelligence as well, isn't there? So you've got EQ, IQ, and the other. And
15. There's about 15.
Social intelligence. Yeah. And I wonder though, so you're talking about leadership as inspiration and all of those things. So you've taken some businesses to pretty high places financially. You've been very, very successful within businesses. So what's been your, in terms of, I don't know, what would we term it if it's not leadership, in terms of leading people to that sort of success, what have been the fundamentals for you, the most important things to get, firstly the right people into that environment, and then to really drive that success?
Well, I think creates situation. I always call it a chance of bliss. Like I said before, finding a chance of bliss, then that's usually an opportunity, especially in these times, when we're in, a situation of crisis. In many aspects, I see a lot of people basically babysitting their human responsibility, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's a safe place to sit while I don't know, but plan B is to take a chance of bliss, and that is to do something that hasn't been done before. It's a value because it puts people in a better situation, and they want it. All right. And people are drawn to that because it makes them, and this is the all-important bit, it makes them feel purposeful. Yeah. It gives them a reason to do what they're doing. So it's not just doing, but a purposeful reason to do it. Yeah. And changing is the the bit that people play with and don't necessarily get right, because change tends to be well, something's happening that you wish wasn't, or something is not happening that you wish was. That's not the problem. The problem is the resistance to it. But to sit in front of that and to lead with that change that's going to happen anyway, whether you like it or not, is to lead. All right. So then you can actually find people who are into a responsibility that says, I want to be part of a movement that sits inside of a creative impulse that creates a better situation. It will be useful. It will be profitable. It will make money. It will create careers. It will do all those things. And there's no time that I've ever seen that it doesn't.
Yeah,
it absolutely doesn't. And it's not a matter of courage. It's a matter of education, but education in a format where you spend time with people to explain where it is you want to go.
Yeah.
And why you want to do it, and are they in for it? Are they up for it?
Yeah.
Do they want to back me?
Yeah.
And then do they want to back themselves? It's really important for people to also understand that leadership isn't always a hierarchical thing where you're at the front of it. I've sat in leadership where people have taken me as well, because I've gotten out of their goddamn way and let them do what they need to do.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it too. And that to me is also how you come back to attracting amazing people. I've been blessed with working with amazing people through my career, the companies that I've built, by understanding that my job is to shape behavior. Their job is to shape me so I can continue to shape behavior and inform me so I can continue to go and give it back so I can give it forward. I can continue to give it forward.
Yeah. I love that. And it's eternal, lifelong learning and being open and ready to do that, because everybody brings something to the table. I just have to say, I've got this image in my head right now of this just incredible, it's like a ball of people rolling really, really fast. and then all these other people chasing the ball of people, like the gatherers, what is it, Rolling Stone Gatherers Lost, but it's just this incredible energy of people moving along together and supporting one another. And then the people sort of behind going, let us come with you. And there's such a big talk about purpose in the market at the moment. It is. Yeah. And I think a lot of people pay it lip service, to be honest. And so it's nice, you say purpose to people and they're kind of, that'd be nice. Yeah. If you actually stop and look at that and you do engage people the way you're describing, it's an extremely powerful way of building an extremely powerful team and getting those results without having to keep looking at spreadsheets and pushing for numbers every day.
I agree. It can be overused, and that's okay. Just like leadership as a term can be overused. And your metaphor of a rolling stone or all that to me really talks to, I mean, we haven't even discussed this, but really talks to a belief that I have in entropy. Basically, create chaos and then rearrange it. And when you rearrange it, it rearranges at a higher order, and that is purposeful, as long as that higher order is of benefit. Yeah. And that benefit is giving someone something they can't do without.
Yeah. And if you create that, that's brilliant. And if you create that within an organization, leaders need to kind of step out of the way in a sense to let that roll through, but also be open to being wrong, be open to new ideas. And I just think it's such a fabulous, it really is how innovation takes place, how it happens. And so that kind of takes me into the conversation around vulnerability, and another slightly overused or misused word in some cases at the moment. But, it's so important, don't you think, as a leader? And it seems to me that that's something that you would practice.
Let's go back to what you said earlier, to be wrong, and then link that to vulnerability. Without vulnerability, you can't correct. I mean, there's no such thing as wrong. In my mind, when you're working on something that's never been there before, it's going to be of value from a leadership point of view, from a to lead point of view, not from a good management point of view. Good management makes sure that things are accountable and make sure that things are working and make sure that all that is happening. And that's vital and necessary. But the vulnerability is to understand that you're early in the process. So when you're early in the process, you're not wrong. You're just early in the process. You're giving yourself an opportunity to correct. And sometimes that correction can come mid-sentence. So you're correcting yourself mid-sentence as you actually start to think through it and go, no. Right? So vulnerability is the art of leading, to lead. It's the art, because how can I take someone where they've never been before, including myself, to give value when I don't want to also, give myself the right to correct.
Yeah.
And vulnerability is the only tool you have when you're doing that. So vulnerability is making something good, true, and beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's not, the crazy thing is when people start talking about vulnerability as a weakness, that's a conspiracy theory. And the reason why it's a conspiracy theory is because it's designed to get in the way of people who are vulnerable and they can't catch it. They can't. So that's a competitive advantage when someone's not vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's everything. That's it. That's a chance of bliss. Another chance of bliss.
I think there's that, and then there's the hide behind it. So if vulnerability is seen as weakness, then I don't need to be vulnerable, because
vulnerability is weakness is an oxymoron. It doesn't make any sense.
Totally.
It's illogical.
Yeah. I'm just going to have a look at some questions or some comments coming through. So I shall just take a moment to have a look at that. This is a fantastic conversation. So Yanis says, if we all are leadership wolves, what is the easier way to attract someone to my pack? There's a good question.
Well, Yanis, thank you for the question, mate. It's a really good question, because I don't believe in attracting someone to my pack. I believe in a sense, recruitment. And what I mean by recruitment is making it so obvious that someone wants to do work, their own work, that is part of a movement, part of an initiative, part of an enterprise. And I want to do work in that enterprise because I recognize my value in it. So it is, how can I be part of a team, a movement, knowing that I could be good at this, and knowing that I'm going to be backed to be able to be good at this, and knowing that I'm not going to get smashed in the face because I went that way and I needed to correct, and it's okay to do that. So there's a subtle difference, and to me the subtle difference is a leader cannot insist on leading. They cannot insist on their method. They have to be open. Like I said, I've been very blessed. I've worked with amazing leaders where I sat there and let them beat the crap out of me so I could then lead better.
Yeah.
So it's a non-hierarchical thing. That's why I don't like the attraction word. What I like is the recruitment word, because you've got to earn it.
Yeah.
You've got to earn it.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's the earning that's really important to me, Yanis, and that's why I don't want to attract, because I could attract by a good campaign, but it won't lead. It won't. If I can, make you commit, then we're in this together. We're doing something, amazing.
Yeah.
Because you've bought in. You've bought in.
He's answered, well said, a man got to have a code, is what Yanis has come back with. And look, I what you've just said, I am a believer in the word attract, because I think that leaders can attract, it is leaders who attract really great people. Great people are drawn to the sort of cultural environment, the sort of values that you're talking about here, and the learning and all of those things. And I also think that leaders can repel as well. So especially in the industry, you get people with reputations, and in order to recruit the great people, I think it is really important that the leader is attractive in in those senses.
Okay, Rebecca. So can we agree on this then? That the word attraction, and to attract and even repel, especially repel, is an outcome, not an objective of leading.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. And recruit is an objective, I suppose, in that sense. Yeah. I've got lots more in the chat box here, so I'm just going to jump in here again. Some fabulous things coming through. So it's a
thanks for your questions, everyone, too.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So now, so sorry, somebody here is LinkedIn user. It says it's a symphony of many tones, layers, and ability, and the dynamics of character mixed with the theatre of the moment. We all play a part in the delivery. I think that's beautiful. That's really well said. Yeah, thank you. I don't know who that
whoever
was.
said that, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank
you
very
awesome.
much whoever said that. That's just you just said it a lot more eloquently than I did.
I love the metaphors. They just create these. I mean, even what you're saying creates these pictures in my mind. And we've got Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl has said, can you share your development of LEAP, LEEP? The land, expand, extend, protect. Brilliant. This methodology is still very much alive now, creating new roles in customer service, customer success. Is there somewhere I can find more information, success plans? Would love to hear more about this from you.
Well, the latest version of it is KISS, LIPS. It's actually LIPS, Land, Invest, Protect, Surrender, because I had to start thinking about the retirement of assets as things go into cloud. So I'm going to keep this very simple and so I don't get very technical. And thank you for the question. Basically, what it is it's an idea around install-based selling, where if we want customer retention, or we want customer success, we've got to make them successful by helping them invest in the technologies that I've already sold them. And I've already sold them things, and I need to continue to sell them off that initial investment right to the point of retirement, because so many assets are moving to cloud. Best place to look at that, because I really don't want to swamp this with a pitch, is on the iasset.com website. Go into resources, look for LIPS, look for the white paper. You'll understand that whole methodology, because it's a business plan. What IASSET do is execute on that business plan, which is some software, but you really need to understand that install-based selling idea. And that's something that I come up with, over a decade ago, and it's just now starting to become in vogue, So it talks to the thing of just hang in there and continue to refine, continue to get things right, continue to, give yourself permission to change your mind mid-sentence, which always drives my executive teams mad, But you just, like 2 minutes ago, you just said that, I changed my fucking mind. It's not right, and it's not right because of what you told me. And you're right. And you're right. So I've got to go with you. And that is a perfect example. The LEAP and now LIPS strategy is a perfect example of just constant change to get it to the point where it is of value. Constantly, a chance of bliss.
Yeah, I love that. And somebody has kindly put in here a link to the white paper that I think you've done about LIPS on iAsset. So thank you for that. And Cheryl, grab that and have a look. Alison says, agree, I can think of leaders who both attract and repel. Okay, yeah.
I think that's a really good point too, though, because was that Alison that said that?
Yeah.
I think Alison. I think that's really important, because it talks to what I was talking about before, which is you earn it, all right, and that's the attraction side of it, or you dictate it. A lot of leaders, are dictatorial. I'm the leader. You listen to me. That's very repulsive. That's going to motivate and incentivize anyone. And that does come, self-made leadership is a real cancer. And we see it in politics. We see it in how the world is being managed right now. It's repulsive. It actually is repulsive. When there is there is so much scope now to correct. There's so much scope to add new value. So many chances of bliss. Many chances of bliss. Thank you, Alison. That's spot on.
Absolutely. Now, apparently Mark Hill sent the symphony comment. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, do you know what? It's already 11:56. So, yeah, just so you know, watching time for anyone who does need to leave. I'm pretty sure if there's more questions coming through, Nick will be happy to keep chatting.
I'll stay till the last question is answered. Yeah. I'll stay and I really appreciate people have to go. Yeah. But I'll stay till the last question is answered. I give you that.
Yeah. No, I'm really
duty bound.
Yeah. So given some of the things we're saying at the moment, moving into the conversation around, and you can't not have this conversation at the moment when you're having this type of exchange, COVID, and leading teams in this environment, and some of the things that you have found valuable. I mean, and also even leaders having to manage change in themselves and having to cope with everything that's going on. What have you got? Any advice or insights that you can share?
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. That's really an important point, because I touched on it a little bit before, and that is like it's about managing change. Something's happening that you wish wasn't, or something isn't that you wish was. All right, and it's not so much the change that's the problem from a leadership point of view. It's the resistance to it, the resistance. So once you understand that what's hurting you and what the problem is resistance, you therefore need a leadership strategy that is going to handle that resistance. Yeah. And what I see is a lot of management, and and what I mean by that is, what I said before, people babysitting that human responsibility and waiting for something to, be given to them so they can get on. No, absolutely not. This is, a chance of bliss. There's so many chances of bliss. Things are changing, regardless. It's not about politics, and it's not about conspiracy theories. It's about things are changing. How am I going to be part of that banging? How am I going to be part of that creative impulse that's going to set the strategy and set the execution to give people value going forward? I went into semi-retirement, and I came out of it because of COVID. I actually went into retirement, and I came out of it because of COVID, because I saw more chances of bliss for me than ever in my life. And I'm obsessed now, and I'm working with my longtime business partner Scott Frew on this stuff, so that we can realign the way that our channel, which we love so much, is going to work towards being relevant to their customers. So, how am I going to be relevant to whoever it is that is affected by COVID? For me as well, I do a lot of youth suicide and now adult suicide counseling. I get the worst. They've already tried to kill themselves 2 or 3 times. And, in working with 108 people, looking for common denominators, and the common denominators are actually against the narrative, and the narrative is separation, and the narrative is isolation, and the narrative is distancing, which is the worst thing to do when someone's in a situation where they've got a mental health issue. And that's because anyone who feels like life is shit, right, and wants to move out, is because they feel like they're alone in isolation. Yeah, it's the dumbest thing to do.
And they isolate more deeply, right? They step further and further back.
So create new narrative, lead.
Yeah.
Lead by creating the new opportunity, which is building it back instead of a burden on people right now in crisis. And this applies to business. Instead of it being a burden, it's an opportunity. And the opportunity basically is purposeful. In other words, no, not social distancing, but purposeful space. All right, responsible space. How can I therefore create enterprise outside of responsible space? Now, we've got a stackload of opportunity outside of that, because that is the way the world has banged. That is the way the world has come in front of us. That is opportunity, that to lead in something like that, and then being able to recruit so that people can be part of that and want to be part of that and execute on all those chances of bliss. This is not bad. This is correction. This is the human experience correcting the way it needs to be, so it can survive itself over the next however many 100 years. Now, How do you do that? You lead, you do something, you create it in terms of what we can do. For me, it's either the work that I'm doing in suicide prevention, or the work that I'm doing in business with iAsset, or many other things. You know, what I was talking to you about, the songs that I'm writing at the moment for these things, you know, just be useful in that process, and then being able to recruit so that people want to go into that, and we can all surrender together. We can all surrender into what's really happening and create value. I can't do without it. And at the worst instance for me is getting someone to a point where they actually can't do without their life, rather than not wanting it anymore. Doesn't get harder than that.
What about for the, because I know companies, people keep talking to me about, you know, the mental strength, mental health of their employees and that sort of thing. It's a challenging thing when everybody is distanced physically, and, you know, this Zoom is good, but it's not really, it's not as good as it probably needs to be. So in terms of being a leader in a team who are not working in the same environment together, have you got any tips or ideas as to how you might manage that, or have you come across anything that people are doing that is working?
Yeah, so there are many things, and I've heard a lot of great things, not necessarily just what I'm doing, but what I've heard other people doing. For me, what I had to do is accept that this new way of doing business, this, you know, video conferencing and things like that, when I talk to people, and I talk to people in earnest, it was actually a retirement from engagement. All right, because, and the reason why there was a retirement from engagement is because people were exhausted. And people were exhausted because we were on a trajectory of growth and prosperity and all this stuff that all looked good in the media, and all looked good on a balance sheet, and all looked good in a commentary at a boardroom, or all looked good in a, you know, earnings call. But people were exhausted, so they were given the opportunity to retire for a period, right, from all that engagement. Now that we recognize that, how do you re-engage? How do you get people to re-engage? It's chances of bliss. What do you do to give people so that they can just want to get excited again, get really nuts again, really jump into something that I can't wait to talk to you, whether it's on video, whether it's on phone, whether it's, you know, in a coffee shop. I just can't wait, because we're working on something collectively that makes me feel purposeful rather than makes me feel exhausted. And I'm not stressed anymore, because no one ever got stressed from doing too much work. They got stressed from not feeling purposeful. That's the difference. Finding reason to give them where they can attract themselves into something that's going to deliver an outcome where they can be bloody proud of. Now, technology is not going to deliver that in terms of like video conferencing and things like that. It's the idea. It's the idea, whether you were together in a room, whether you're like this, like we are all now. No, it's the idea of what hasn't happened yet, of the new value, of exiting the grind. You've done that, and now re-entering where there's no grind. There's just excitement, because we're changing things, we're making things useful.
I think now is a really great opportunity for companies to shift into that new gear. It's almost like a rebirth in a sense, and you're coming into that end of year period, and then we're launching into the new year. And I know a lot of companies are talking to me about, you know, what can we do in January, or what can we do now to start to really get people re-engaged in a new way for the new year. And I think the first thing I'm suggesting is let's check in on engagement and see where it's at specifically, but and then look at something that is really relevant. But it is about coming back to, you know, it is taking some time out to get, and theoretically in a room, and, you know, work on what's important and what's purposeful, and what is the chance at bliss. You know, it's something that I think a lot of companies don't find time to do. A lot of leaders don't. They kind of get stuck in the weeds, and this whole busyness that's been created almost in this new way of working is almost not letting people don't feel like they can come up for air and do that stuff. So I just hope that
a leader won't get stuck in the weeds. A leader will not get stuck in the lead. A leader has absolute conviction in the people that they've got that are working with them to be able to take the movement forward while they continue to lead. A leader, a manager, even an exceptional manager, can get stuck in the weeds because they have to make sure that this stuff works.
Yeah.
But a leader won't do that. A leader won't get stuck in the lead. A leader's too busy moving it forward.
Yeah.
A leader's too busy getting shit out of the way. A leader's too busy getting rid of obstacles. A leader's too busy, coming up with the next part of the creative impulse.
Yeah.
In a movement that's happening because the world has told us that, we're not up for this anymore. We're not up for this exhaustion anymore. We're up for good. We're up for true. We're up for beautiful. What does that look like? Think about that. Take the world there.
Yeah.
You won't get it wrong. You won't get it wrong.
Another word I'd add to that list is healthy, just is a healthy world, a health and healthy us. We've got to really, it's almost like everybody's been through a group near-death experience, that they got that place to revise and revitalize and to like I say, rebirth almost. And I think that comes with mental and physical health as well.
Yeah, it can be that. It can be that because, again, from what I said before, the whole chaos, from the chaos, you get, entropy, which is, rearranging all that chaos into a higher order. You need leaders. You need leading to get to that higher order. And that higher order is better by definition.
Yeah.
All right. And, some people might call it a dark night of a soul. Some people might call it a personal, what do they call it? A personal audit, whatever you want to call it whatever you want. As long as you know that you're going to get out of this doing something that's going to be more purposeful to you and excited, because that's where the value is in you as a human being. When you're looking for a career, a company to work for, a person to work for, it's about you being able to do something that you weren't able to do before. And the person that's leading is your biggest fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not your biggest critic.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Todd, I agree with you. Todd Parsons has said a leader trusts the people around them. And I think there's a lot to be said about trust. That's a whole nother conversation. I posted about that on LinkedIn yesterday. And I think trust is absolutely the fundamental foundation to any really successful relationship. So, that's, so
but again, just quickly on trust, I think trust again is an outcome. It's not an objective. It's an outcome. You earn it. You earn it.
Yeah, you do earn it. Yeah. And it's a two-way scenario as well. All right. We still have, I think, about 18 people on board. Does anyone have any other questions or comments they would like to add before we start to wrap this wonderful conversation up? I'm just going to wait and see. So Shamal says, and thank you for this. So the challenge for solo operators is to balance between leadership and management, how to maintain that balance.
Wow, that's a really good question. That's an awesome question. I'll be as put it into a few words. So if you're a solo operator, you're all things, right? And the objective of a solo operator, if you are a leader, all right, is to make yourself redundant in terms of the tasks that you were doing beforehand by creating the opportunity that's strong enough for people to want to come in and do the management, if you like, while you can continue to lead. That starts to talk to I guess vulnerability as well, the ability to know that a good leader will make most of what they do redundant very, very quickly so they can get on to the next thing, and therefore find people that can buy into what you're doing as a sole operator and help you while you go on and continue to create.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's succession planning. Effectively, it's succession planning. Succession planning starts the day you start your business, on your own. Being able to get people to do all the things that you used to do and you really can't do anymore because you've got to continue to lead. You've got to continue to innovate. You've got to continue to create.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's incredible now.
I hope that helps.
Yeah. I think that's a great answer. And I think, the other thing is now being this globalization, you can tap into strengths and skills and people, resources all around the world. And certainly that's something that I'm doing in terms of support for my business. And so just being open to how that might look and making sure that you've got good processes in place so that you can actually, share that with the people who are working with you. Now there was one comment before from Dean Bartlett. He said, as always, great to feel your energy, Nick. Talk soon, Dean. So I think he's left. And Mark Hill, thank you for sharing your experience, energy, and challenging us to be absolute rock stars in what we do. Take care. Take the chance for bliss. Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Mark. Another message from Mark. Thank you for sharing your honor. It's the same. For some reason, it's come up twice. And Marwa, thank you, Marwa, for joining us again. And I'm glad you enjoyed it and got value from it. So I thank everybody for being here. I really, truly thank you for supporting these conversations. Please do share them with friends, colleagues, anyone you think would be interested. Next week, I have Steve Nola, who is another industry legend. Steve is recently gone into retirement. And so just before he I don't know if he's a golfer, but, before he does completely go golfing, we're going to grab some of his wonderful knowledge and experience. And so he's going to come and talk to us next week. The other thing, guys, if there's anyone you think you would love to see me interview, anyone who is an inspiration or an interesting leader, I would love to hear from you and hear who they are so that I can chase them down. I am looking for people for the show for December and January. So do send me your recommendations. Thank you, Jane. Yes, wonderful. I'll point you at the replay. No worries. Thanks for trying to get on. All right. Thank you again, Nick. Just an incredible conversation. Really enjoyed it. And maybe I may have to have you on again just to continue the conversation. I get, it's always a shame to end. Yeah. So I really appreciate it. I'm going to cut to the outro now, and I will see everybody next week.
Thank you.
I will try and find it. There we go.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful you managed to take time out to spend with us. I hope you got some value from the conversation. And just a reminder, I will be here every Thursday at 11:30 talking to another fabulous leader and bringing you more great morsels and value and mentoring. So please do join me. And if there's anything you would like to talk about when it comes to attracting, developing, retaining high-performing teams, please reach out. I would love to have a conversation. If you would like a transcript of the session, please remember to leave me a message or get in touch, and I'll also produce a document which will have the key takeouts from today's session, so I can share that with you too. All right, thanks again. Have a fabulous day. I will see you next time.